But let's come to this part of the discussion, assertions. Because if you remember back to my diagram, I said the assertions being tested could guide us on the audit procedures we are going to be undertaking. Whilst we undertake the audit procedures, we are going to be gathering audit evidence, and that audit evidence will help us to now express an opinion on the financial statement, which is going to be in our audit report. So we've looked at the various audit procedures we undertake. We just looked at the qualities that the audit evidence must have. Now, let's look at the various assertions that can be tested for. And this is where everything is crystallized. Because when you read the question or you read the scenario and you're able to conclude and know the assertions that you are supposed to test for, that will help you to then know the procedures you are going to be carrying out so you can gather your evidence. So let's come to the assertions. So what are assertions? Simple. Assertions are characteristics that need to be tested to ensure the financial records and disclosures are correct and appropriate. So the things that we have to test for so that we can conclude that, everything in the financial statement is correct and appropriate are what we refer to as what? The assertions. The assertions can be broadly divided into three main groups. Please stay with me carefully here. You can remember the assertions also with the ACCA cover. Okay? The ACCA cover. And so we have accuracy. We have cut off. We can have classification, or maybe let me do completeness here. Then the other A can be allocation. This C will be classification. O will be occurrence. V will be valuation. E will be existence. R will be rights and obligations. So that's the ACCA cover. Those are the assertions. In other words, this is what we are saying. When we want to audit something, one way or the other, it is whether you are checking if the thing is there, if the thing is accurate, if the thing includes everything. So, for instance, if we come back to the PPE that I mentioned earlier, we are auditing PPE. Okay. If you're auditing the assets of the company, what are some of the procedures you are going to undertake? For instance, we said it has gone up, so we're going to inquire from management, right? Okay. Then remember, we said also that you're going to do physical what? Observation to see whether the assets listed in the asset register are the assets that are actually there. And if you remember, I told you that when you are doing the physical examination of the PPEs, there are two assertions that you are trying to test for in that environment. You are testing for existence. Is what is listed in the register there? Existence. Number two, you are also testing for valuation. What is written in the book and what is there? Does it correlate? Like, is what I'm seeing worth what has been recorded in the books? So you realize that those two procedures coming in helping us to test for what? Existence, and then what? Valuation. Not only that, as we said, maybe the finance officer is going to say, hey, the assets were revalued and we engage a certain audit firm. Okay. Who the heck approved the valuation? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. So we need to go and find out whether the valuation really occurred. Occurrence. Did they really value it? So you want to review the board minutes or the management minutes, whether there was any resolution as to whether we should revalue the assets. That's occurrence. Then whoever they engaged, you want to inquire from the person. Did you do any revaluation? Then we obtain from the entity the valuation report. What are we trying to do? Occurrence. What are we trying to do? Accuracy. Because in the valuation report, the valuer is going to be stating the assumptions they used whilst placing the value of on the asset. So we want to check, is the assumption accurate? Can we rely on it? So if you see how we are knitting everything together, you see that auditing of the PPE, I have come with maybe 6 points already. Because we are inquiring from the finance manager the reasons for the increase in the PPE. Okay, we are doing physical examination to check whether the assets listed in the asset register actually exist. Existence. We also undertake the physical examination to evaluate whether the value of the asset in the asset register corresponds to the value of the asset that is observed or seen. Then we inspect the board or the management minutes to verify whether there was any resolution passed for the revaluation to be undertaken and why. What are we testing for? Occurrence. And since it is an asset we are talking about, you want to get the title document on these assets. What are you testing for? Rights. To determine whether all the assets in the asset register really belong to the company. It's in the name of the company. So without sweating, easy peasy, I just coughed out 6 procedures and I need 4 to excel in the exam hall. That is the connection we are trying to build here. Same thing happens if you're auditing trade receivable. What did we say? We definitely undertake analytical procedures to find out whether there has been any significant changes in the trade receivables. Okay, what else do we do? You want to take a sample of the trade receivables and send out circulars, and that is called circularization. So we send out circulars on a sample of the trade receivables. What are we trying to do? Existence. Are they really debtors, or it's a fictitious account that has been created by the company? And in those circulars, we can say, hey, our client says you owe them $50 million. Is this true? Or we can just say, hey, we are writing to you. We are the auditors of this company. Can you confirm how much you owe the client? So the response we get gives us that existence, that, hey, really, the debtors are there. And that also helps us to confirm rights, whether they truly owe the company or they don't owe the company. Because we could have trade receivables in the books, but maybe they don't owe the company, they owe the CEO or they owe the board chairman. So we are also looking at rights. Then completeness. We want to find out the list of trade receivables that we have been presented. And when we look at the trade receivables ledger control account, is that all, or does it include all the trade debtors of the entity? Is that all there is? Completeness. So this is what we are trying to talk about here. It's not like we are doing anything new. That is why I said, back to my diagram here, the assertion being tested for, once you read a subject matter and you know, oh, I need to test for this assertion, I need to test for that assertion, I need to test for that assertion, then it will help you to then know the procedure you will undertake. The procedure you undertake provides you with the evidence. That evidence helps us to then reach a reasonable conclusion on the opinion that we can express on the subject matter or on the financial statement taken as a whole in the audit report.